Let's talk about this in more depth now with Sami al-Arian, who's the director of the Centre for Islam and Global Affairs at Istanbul Zaim University. First of all, Hamas and Fatah have literally fought each other, and violently so, in the past. We see the two groups, though, meeting in Moscow with a view to cooperating. What has brought them together?
Well, what we have here is a very complicated situation where you have Israel and the United States would like to exclude Hamas from governing Gaza, from the future governance of Gaza. And we have Israel who wants to exclude the PA and Hamas from the governance of Gaza. Israel wants to have its own setup, political setup, those who will be clients, its own clients. And then you have the United States who would like the PA to be a part of this. And you have Arab regimes who would like to involve other parts of not Palestinian Authority, but Palestinians who are more client states like Mohammed Dahlan and Nasser al-Qudwa. And then you have Abbas himself, the PA, who would like to impose his own prime minister. His current prime minister just resigned a couple of days ago, and he wants to appoint his own, and everybody else doesn't want him. So what the Russians are trying to do is to bring Fatah and Hamas in the hope that somehow they could have a unified position so that they can prevail over others. And with that, then the Moscow or Russia could actually involve itself back into the Middle East. So it's a very complicated situation. The possibility of this succeeding is slim, but nevertheless, it's being tried.
To my simple understanding, it sounds like a good old-fashioned power struggle, but Moscow's trying to see if they can kind of unify on some points. If the differences, which are obviously there between Hamas and Fatah, if they're going to be overcome, where are the points where they will need to move from both sides to come to some kind of unified opinion?
Well, Abbas has been trying to impose his three conditions on Hamas, which has rejected all along for the past over a dozen years. They have been discussing this, going back and forth at it. He wants them to actually agree on the political program of the PLO, which is basically the Oslo process, which is dead. Hamas and the other groups have absolutely said they would not do that. And then he has them also to forego, or at least to say publicly that there will be no armed struggle, which also they refuse to do so. And we have seen what's happening now in the past 5 months. Them and the jihad would like to join the PLO, but not under these conditions. They would like to be a part of the PLO structure, but they would also like to revise the program by foregoing and forgetting about the Oslo process and starting a new phase of resistance in which the popular resistance, in which both factions agree with, but they will not exclude totally the armed resistance.
There's been a lot of talk in the last few days of a technocrat government being established in Palestinian territories. My understanding of that would be you're talking about experts who supposedly are apolitical being put in positions of power. Is that something that you believe would help to satisfy Israel and to help bring peace to the region?
All parties right now agree on this formula. The problem is not which technocrat, because Hamas and Fatah, they would like to have their own person in which they trust. Israel would not trust that person. They would like to impose their own technocrats or their own client Palestinians, and in which they would be basically answerable to them. The United States would like to bring the PA into the equation. They also would like to get the agreement and concurrence of the Arab regimes. And the Arab regimes have their own candidates in mind, in which Abbas does not agree with. So you have all these parties coming together. And you're right about power struggle. At the end of the day, you need somebody that Abbas agrees with, that Hamas agrees on, and that the United States would accept, and Israel may or may not accept. And of course, the Arab regimes would also welcome.
Great to speak to you. Thanks for your time and analysis. Sami al-Arian, my guest, who's director of the Centre for Islam and Global Affairs at Istanbul Zaim University.